By the way, just out of curiosity, what was harder to do? Was it tougher to give up the heroin, or was it tougher to lose the weight? Which one was tougher? And were both motivations the same? Is it like fear of death? Is it a girl in your life? Is it family? Is it I just got to change? Is it a spiritual moment? What was it? What were the differences?
Well, I think about it in different ways. I think that drugs are not easy to give up, but it's a kind of a black or white thing for me. And this is not necessarily for everyone, but for me, I am an addictive person. So I have to be all or nothing. I'm either using drugs and very quickly heading to death, or I'm not, and I'm very quickly heading to a healthier, happier life.
You can't dabble at all. You're a 0 or a 100.
Cannot.
That's just your
DNA.
DNA.
No, I don't have a glass of wine on New Year's or anything like that. The problem with stuff like heroin is, and it's not super widely talked about, is like the thing that I liked about it was it actually changed my brain chemistry, right? So whatever sense of happiness you get from succeeding at a goal you set for yourself, or anything, right, is now being given to you by this drug. So when you stop taking it, your body doesn't know how to do that. So you have these ex-junkies who are perpetually depressed for years. It takes a long time for your body to get back to normal. It's not just like get it out of your system and you're fine, right? You're constantly thinking my happiness, whether it's subliminal or you know, you might not be having these thoughts analytically, but the sense is like I cannot function like a normal person without this stuff, because your body doesn't react any longer like a normal person. So it takes a long time to build those systems back up. The difference with food is you can't be black or white. You cannot just quit eating. You have to eat or you're going to die, right? So it's actually way more complicated. It's a lifetime process. There is no goal that I get to this weight and I'm done. That does not exist for me with food. And while I want to think about drug use also as a lifetime process, it gets to be so, as long as you're not doing it, you know, my wife drinks alcohol. I am never tempted to have a glass of wine with her, ever. I wouldn't go sit in a bar by myself. I wouldn't do that. I'm not going back to some dude's hotel room to watch him do cocaine. That's not something I would ever put myself in that situation, right? But I have to eat. And so every night while I'm eating and I'm regulating what I'm eating, there is that thing that's, you know, under the surface of like, put more oil on it, put more sugar on it, you know, double your portion. So that's a more difficult thing, I think, to deal with long term.
Have you gotten to a point where food is now just, it's not, you know, like yesterday we were eating with David Berlinski. I take him to Casa D'Angelo and I'm like, so what's your favorite food? I eat the same thing every day. That can't be. No, I eat the same thing every day. What do you eat for breakfast?
2 egg whites.
2 egg whites and sometimes. So what do you eat for lunch? I eat, protein
bar,
protein,
nothing.
whatever. Now, what do you eat for a dinner? Burger
Cook up
every
a
day.
hamburger.
I said every day. He says I
Could
eat
care less what he ate.
At all.
We're at the nicest Italian
this.
restaurant.
We
What do you
got
want? I don't care.
Octopus. I've never had it before. You've never had octopus. You're 80 years old.
He lives in Paris.
Yeah. He said, no.
I don't eat any of the cuisine.
So has food for you, because one connection some people make that I think it's very interesting. You know, so, I'm a foodie. Oh, you know, oh my God, we got to go eat some sushi. We got to go eat some. And eventually it's like, yeah, food is not my method of entertainment. Food is no longer for me like I'm looking forward to it. It's just what my body needs to eat, and it's become very regimented. Is that the distinction you had to make?
That's what I try to do. Now, listen, I too love to eat, and I think that as I got healthier and tried to take more responsibility with how I interact with food, I became way more interested in very specific types of food. Like I flew to China once to eat Peking duck at this little Lu Quan roast duck. It's in an alley, and it's like the best Peking duck on earth, apparently. Like I've done stuff like that.
You just went to China for that.
To eat
Come
duck.
on.
And
I got the duck. I'm out, yo.
And then I also ate, you know, skewered scorpions that were fried on the street and stuff like that. Like I'm interested in food in that way. But the thing I've also found is I do eat mostly the same stuff, right? All the time. I always have whey protein and water for breakfast. That is what I eat for breakfast every day.
And water, not milk.
Not milk. Although I will say there's this new Fairlife protein drink that's 30 grams of protein, and I think it is made with milk, and I believe whey protein comes from milk, so there's that. But I don't put almond milk or anything like that in my protein powder. Moderation, I think, is the key to winning for the rest of my life. So I don't want to cut off everything and say, if I'm in Rome, I'm not going to eat the pasta dish that I love, right? I can't do that, but I'm going to have that one time, and then the rest of the time that I'm in Rome, I'm going to eat the way I eat normally, which is fish or meat and vegetables. For the most part.
What's your favorite food? Like if you were to say my favorite food is, like I would say it's ghormeh sabzi. It's a Persian stew. What's your favorite food?
I mean, if I was going to say my favorite Iranian food, I would say tahdig.
Oh.
And I would want something really juicy to pour on it. You know what I mean?
You ever been to Rafi's place?
Is that in Glendale?
Yeah. The owner's my best man at my wedding.
Really?
Yeah.
It's great food.
Yeah, phenomenal food. Yeah, the best.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite, though? What's your favorite food?
My favorite is tied up somehow with this memory of when I was 5 and I showed up at my grandparents' house in Vermont, and they said, "God, you're so fat, you're going on a diet." And then my grandfather cooked what I remembered being my favorite meal, which was lasagna, and they gave me
You're going on a diet. They said you get this much, buddy.
Paper thin slice, and so for the rest of my life, I was like, "That's my favorite food." I don't think it really is. You know what I mean?
5 years old, because I've read this before, that it's kind of triggered where you're at with all your weight loss. What was that?
I don't want to blame them. I just thought I don't think they really. Their intentions were good and clean, but also honestly, if they were the same age today and looked at the landscape of childhood obesity, they would have been like, "You are fine." How heavy I was at 5. I was a chubby 5-year-old. I wasn't an obese 5-year-old, but they were shocked at my appearance and put me on this crazy diet, and then convinced my parents to put me on diets for the rest of my adolescence. I would say my favorite food, the food that I've eaten the most in the past 10 years, is Lebanese. Lebanese is my favorite food.
Lebanese.
It's very clean. You can get a healthy meal. It's not got a bunch of other garbage in it.
I saw the 3-hour podcast that you did with Rogan.
Yeah.
And the first hour, you guys just went in on food and dishes and this. And Pat just literally had, how many dinners did you have with Rogan this past weekend?
That we were together for Friday night and Saturday night till like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Steak dinners, though.
Cow Fort Steakhouse. Oh my! And we ate like at 3 in the morning. So imagine eating a fat steak at 3 o'clock. Like that's the
taboo.
worst thing you can do. And we went to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys went off about how he said I could just eat steak and vegetables and that's it. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
But pasta, like we had pasta and steak last night.
But see, there's a universe now that the landscape of diets and diet fads gets really crazy. So for a long time, I was convinced if I just don't eat carbs, I'll lose weight and I'll be fine. But it got to the point where, because I can overeat, and that is really my predilection, is to overconsume. I'll overeat steaks. I'll eat 5,000 calories in a steak and only burn 3,000 calories that day and actually gain weight. So that's not a good solution for me.
So is it more important to portion control or eat healthier?
For me.
Okay.
There could be a guy who's out there who won't eat 5,000 calories in steaks, and all he has to do is cut carbs out of his diet and he'll be fine. That's possible.
And you see this kid over here on your left? That guy carb loads.
Right.
Like he's
I'm
like
Norwegian.
he eats a
bread.
sandwich with the bread as the meat and then more bread. I'm like, what are you doing with
He
all
gets the club sandwich and removes the turkey.
Exactly.
There you
Talk some sense into
Half
this guy.
turkey, half
When you're
turkey.
23 years old, that works. When
Sure.
you're 33, you're going to be a fat ass.
So I got to enjoy it while I can.
If you enjoyed this short clip, click over here to watch another short clip. And if you want to watch the entire episode, the entire podcast, click here.